Okay then guys, welcome back to another video. I'm excited to make this video. It might not be the most viewed one, but it's something I'm really excited about, something I've been thinking about for a while. Before we start guys, if you want to get the new course, all about life setup, framing, attracting women, how to become a better looking man, body language, all the stuff that I'm not really able to talk about on this platform because it's a little bit personal. It just makes you look a certain way. It's not good for the brands. The link's below. So many people signed up already. It's crazy. I'm so grateful, guys. I'm loving making content there. I can just be free, say what I want. The better looking man stuff is coming very, very soon. I'm going to pad that out. There's 20 or 21 videos on there at the moment. Probably 25 by tomorrow because I've recorded 3. I just need to edit them, whatever. I have to, sorry for this, guys, but I have to explain it in one video at some point. I've chosen this one, so sorry for the long intro, but I'll try and make this about 30 seconds. The products, the body wash, the natural diuretic, all these products that I do, the boxers, whatnot. I had a meeting with somebody today as well, a friend of mine, who said the same thing, just out of the blue without saying anything to him. He was like, it's hard to do retail anymore online because suppliers are putting their costs up, their manufacturing costs up. The cost of the actual like materials, ingredients in general are just higher. The cost of shipping is higher. Companies are taking higher fees. So if all that's going up, but we keep the prices the same, the profit margins just aren't worth it anymore. The way you get around it is either by upping your prices, which I'm just not going to do, guys. I'm not going to charge you $24.99 for a body wash plus ship it. Do you know what I mean? It's just, it's rude. So it's just, I've worked out it's cheaper, it's easier to just discontinue them. And the second option that I have is to either order, I can order like 100,000 body washes. I'm not going to do that. Do you know what I mean? I'm looking at buying the villa in Marbella this year. I'm not going to go and buy 100,000 body washes and take a risk on that not working. I'd much rather have that physical thing that I can go, okay, I own that now. Do you know what I mean? Rather than 100,000 units sat in a warehouse that they charge me for because it's taking up space if they don't sell. It just, the world's just gone crazy with pricing. It's just outpricing everybody. And like I said, I'm not charging you guys too much. The only one that I can keep is the men's lifestyle supplement because number one, it's mine and I've made it unique, so I can kind of price it however I want. But because we've ordered in such quantity and it is a premium, I believe it's the best supplement on the market for men. You can get it below now. We've sold over 20,000 units since this thing began. It's in my opinion, it's unbelievable. I've never had a negative review on it. That can continue because what I've done, and guys, please let me know because I think I've done a good job here. But please let me know. I've made it so it's free international shipping worldwide, but I've upped the price of the product itself based on what region you're in to compensate for it. So the people who always wanted to order 2 or 3, the shipping would calculate times 4, and it was a shit show. Whereas now I think you guys can actually, I think it's cheaper for everybody. I think the people in the UK have to pay around about 50 pence or £1 more, which we're going to have to do anyway because all costs are going up. But I think for everyone else, it's significantly cheaper. I think to order one, I think for Americans, it's around £10, £15 cheaper. I think. Let me know. Have a look on there and let me know because I think I've done a good job. But if I get feedback from you guys and you say, actually, it's more expensive for me now, it's about the same, then I can figure something out. But, you know, let me know, show me some evidence, whatever, and then I can figure it out. The other thing we've got as well, guys, is obviously the streaming platform. So if you want to check out the streaming platform, links are below as well. It's early stages of our Netflix, which is actually the point of this video, to be honest. So the point of this video is how the whole woke culture, everything that's happened in the last 10 years, I believe is coming to an end. I think the anti-masculine, the anti-male culture, this woke agenda that every character in every film needs to be a woman, it needs to be gender swapped, it needs to be, you can't say this, you can't say that, you know, you're a misogynist. I think all of this is just dying out. I think everybody's really tired of it. I think people are getting seriously annoyed. I think men are annoyed, and I think for the first time since all of this has begun, I think women are starting to side with the men, and they're going, do you know what, actually, you've led us down the incorrect path. And this isn't a woman video, this is more about the culture. But you've led us down the wrong path, and everything you've told us isn't actually working. You know, the men that you've told us are the best one, they're terrible. You know, I actually want to go back into, and you're seeing this a lot now, my soft girl era. You know, I'm going to go into my gentle phase. I don't want any drama. I want a good, solid, masculine man who's going to lead and show me the way. All of that's coming back, right? And what you're seeing in, like, Hollywood's the big one. Hollywood is the one that's, like, really exposing it for people at the moment. You see Marvel, you see Star Wars, you see, I've written a few down actually. You've got Ghostbusters, Oceans, Indiana Jones, and there's thousands more. They're losing so much money, it's embarrassing. Marvel right now, I think they've just released Echo. I think it's a new show that they've just released on Disney Plus. They released it all at once. They were trying to stop it. They didn't even want to release it because they knew it would be terrible. Because they've had She-Hulk, the Marvels, Echo. None of this is working. They're losing so much money, it's ridiculous. Now, I remember when I was working in finance, something called ESG came in, which stood for, I think it was, it's the E that I'm struggling with here. Economic social governance. I don't think it was economic. It was something else. Environmental social governance. That was it. So it was more like, how does your company operate in terms of its effect on the environment around it? You know, global warming, pollution, etc. In terms of social, you know, how is the workplace? Are you inclusive? You know, have you got diversity and stuff like that? Governance was like just linked to the government thing, the government stuff, like the general rules, I think. But the problem is they put quotas in place that if you hit certain criteria, you got serious tax deductions. You know, you got bonuses paid out to your company. So what all these massive corporations were doing, like Disney, etc., is if you have at least 7 women in major roles, or at least 12 women in the directing movies or behind the scenes or doing this role, whatnot. If you have at least one trans person, if you have great, but at the detriment of the movie. And this is what we're seeing in life in general, I think. I think there's a serious dip in quality. I think people are way less happy. And I think the biggest problem is, I think companies, I think movies, I think everything that we're doing now is being prioritized as we need it to be diverse and inclusive. We need to, and I think people are just getting really bored, really annoyed. I think the enjoyment is gone out of it. I think the craftsmanship is going. I think there's too many people, and we'll use men as an example here, who are social butterflies, who change themselves based on their environment and who they're around. And I've stayed true to the masculinity stuff the whole way through all of this. I can always say that. I can be proud of myself. There's a lot of guys that they're usually on TikTok where they've gone, oh, I see this new like left-wing agenda coming in. Everybody's going this way. I'm going to change who I am like a chameleon. But I see it swinging back the other way now. And I think those guys are kind of just going to be hit and miss. Like, what are you going to do? Change your identity 10 times? Like, people are going to see straight through it. Do you know what I mean? I think it's massively embarrassing to have, like, to have said certain things, to have done certain things, and now the whole world's going back the other way. And for me personally, I've seen, and for example, Barbie. Barbie was the biggest film of the year. Why? Because women don't want to see a female lead in Star Wars. Do you know why? Because they don't like Star Wars. They've never liked Star Wars. You're not going to change that by just having a female. They're like, no, it's not the woman that's the problem. It's the fact that this is just boring. We don't like it. It doesn't suit what we like. Barbie will go in our millions. We'll all go as groups. This is going to be great. What's coming out next? Mean Girls. They're going to go in their millions. I'm just thinking of some others. Like, I guarantee there's going to be a Sex in the City 3 in the next 2 years or so. They'll see the profits and they'll be like, we will pay you whatever you want. Let's get this done. The Notebook, Devil Wears Prada. These are films that, you know, like John Tucker Must Die. When I was growing up, my sister and her friends were watching stuff like that. That's the films that they would talk about. That's what they wanted to go and watch. But for some reason, society's told us now, men need to be feminine and women need to be masculine. It's like, why are we swapping the roles? I know this has been spoken about millions of times before, but I think this is coming to an end. I think people have realized during this 10-year period, oh, hang on a minute, this is silly, and it's just not working. And I think women are kind of driving this now. I think men have been saying for a long time, this is bullshit, but I think women are driving it now because they've gone, I did actually like Barbie, and there's nothing wrong with that. I am actually going to go and watch Mean Girls, and I am going to let myself go and be silly and whatever. I'm going to be feminine and girly, and there's nothing wrong with that. I feel better when I'm doing that role. I feel better when that masculine man decides what we're going to do today. When he decides my day and he makes decisions for me, I actually feel a lot better. And I think people are starting to realize that. And I think the whole world is turning around. And my advice to you guys this year is to double down on the masculinity. You know, and what does that mean? What does that mean? I'll give two examples. So one example for myself is I've thought that I've spent, as somebody who wants to make his own movies moving forward, Exhibit A, all the great ones behind us that haven't been made in years, in like over a decade. Peaky Blinders is slightly different, I guess, but that's why it was so successful. I'd assume. But for somebody who wants to do this, I'm sick of not seeing masculine action movies. You know, from back in the day, proper fight scenes and whatnot. Every fight scene now, you're like, she didn't hit him. She's moving so slow. Like, why is he just standing still while she does that like spin kick thing? Why is he not throwing an overhand right just to put her to sleep? It's just not believable. Do you know what I mean? You're watching it, you're like, this is so slow. This is so sloppy. And it's taking something away from the movie itself. This is what we've done in this modern era, is we've gone, you're not good enough, and that's okay. And it's like, no, you got to have everything on merit. You've got to win it. And I think what it's done is made a whole generation of men and women soft, where they've gone, I can get a handout by just being a certain person. And that's why people are being chameleons. They're changing themselves. I think now is the time to be that masculine individual. Stay true to yourself. I think the world is changing. And I think if you double down on masculinity now, if you go back to the old school gent, the guy who's wearing the suit, the guy who's, framing himself a certain way, going for the James Bond image, I think, who is very masculine, very assertive, who speaks his mind, I think you're just going to accelerate beyond everybody. I think there's a giant gap in the market now, because every time something becomes rare, I know it sounds silly, gap in the market, but it's true, because every time something becomes rare in human society, it becomes in demand. It's really weird. It's extremely weird, but I think this is about to take place. And for somebody who is looking to make his own movies and whatnot and do fight scenes, it's going to be so refreshing to be like, that wouldn't happen. The amount of, do you know what, guys? It'd be so cool if we can all do this together. If we can put everybody down as like a credit. Do you know what I mean? Like, I want to fund this, but I want to write everybody down as a credit in this movie. Like, do an actual action movie that's legit. It'd be so much fun to bring back. And here's my point, right? That masculine space, that rarity has disappeared. When was the last time you saw a really good action movie? I watched Extraction and Extraction 2 with Chris Hemsworth, and I was like, these are fight scenes. This is what we used to have. This is how it used to be. We don't have that anymore. And I was like, the gap in the market is so big. And you look at a company like DC. So you got Marvel going left wing, soft, etc. Like, female boss route. Fair enough. DC is so stupid because they could have just gone the complete other way. Like, look how well The Batman did. Like, this is what people really want. Money talks, okay? And this is why this is all flipping around, because all these companies have gone, new agenda, we're losing loads of money. This is terrible. We're going to have to fire everybody if we don't change. Should we just resort to type? If you can jump on this prior to it happening, you're going to be like one of few. You're going to be like one of the only guys that stands out. While everyone's trying to be like a feminine man, trying to be softer and trying to expect... If you just go, nah, do you know what? I think it's going to result in better results with, I think, career-wise. I think you've got a little 5-year window now before all this transfers over to just crush everybody, just run through everybody and just be like, instead of hiring based on diversity, I'm going to hire the best people. Bang, done, crushed everybody. Because I actually built a company, a proper one. I was a masculine man and I attracted the most beautiful women. Oh, how did you do that? Well, you lot were overthinking the whole Me Too thing. I just went and did it. I think you've got a 5-year window now before all this changes around again and reverts to type. Maybe a 10-year window. But I think the way I'm looking at it is, like, for example, I don't know if I'll be able to get this done. The window's maybe not big enough, but we can establish ourselves. I don't think we're more than 2-3 years away from doing our own action movie. Okay? Might even be sooner the way things are going. If we do our own action movie and we start establishing ourselves as the masculine form of media, by the time it all spins round and all these other companies realize, we could be like center stage where it's like, oh no, these guys have grabbed my attention while you were all messing around. I'm with these guys now. Do you see what I mean? Like, oh, that's a real fight scene. Like when there's a gap in the market and you exploit it, you usually just take over, and then that becomes mainstream, and then people go the other way. It's like Vice. You know, Vice were like disrupting everything at the start. Now they're considered, oh, you've got an agenda. But it's like, no, they've always had that. They've always been that way. It looks like an agenda now because of the era we're in. At the time, it was like, ooh, exposing North Korea. Whereas now it just seems a little bit like, we see what you're doing. And they'll go straight back the other way unless they get sold and do something else. Do you know what I mean? Like, this is how the world works. There's chameleons and there's people who just stick to their guns, who stay honest. And, you know, some of these companies, they just swing between what the masses want or what they think they want. And I find it embarrassing. I really do. But what I want to give to you guys is people like what they like. Whether they get told something, whether they say something and whatnot, people like what they like. And I think now is the perfect time, like I said, to double down on masculinity. And there's a statistic here. We're making a documentary at the moment called Death of the Gentleman. And we're going to look at how so many young men are just dressing in streetwear, not taking care of themselves. They don't really care anymore. They speak in a certain way which isn't very articulate. Their standards are low. They're going for job interviews in a hoodie and like it's just not what it used to be. Okay, like even a guy without money used to make the best of himself, put on a suit just to go to the shops. You know, it's just, I think personal pride is gone. And the statistic that I've got here is that 64% of men don't own a suit in this era. How crazy is that? And you think, oh, 64%, so there's a large majority that do. They're probably all 40 and above. Like, if you did this study for guys 40 and under, what do you reckon that would be? I think that would be about 85% of men that don't own a suit under the age of 40. And under the age of 30, I'd be shocked if it was more than 5% of men that actually have one. How crazy is that? You know, most people don't buy their first suit until they've actually got to go to a wedding or a funeral, and they're like, oh, I better go and get one. And even then, it's just like a sports jacket with a white shirt and a tie. You know, oh, they wore their jeans and black trainers. Like, people don't dress up anymore. People who don't have personal pride. I find that really, really sad. But I think if you're the guy who goes, do you know what? I'm going to tap into that again. That old school masculinity. I'm, you know, the kind of old money, the kind of, like I said, old school men that just wouldn't take any messing. Oh, I don't like guys with muscles. Yeah, you do. I'm just going to put on some muscle. Like David Gandy did it in the industry. You know, oh, we like skinny models. He was like, nah, I'm going to put on muscle. And then he became the most famous, most highest paid model in the world. I think when you just ignore all this crap and you go down your own route, I think you get the best results. It's almost like a lie that's being told to hold people back. That's what it looks like. Oh, high testosterone is bad. It's like, no, it's not. It's great for you. And I think the world is, I can see it flipping. I'm pretty good at predicting these things. I can see it turning back. You know, with the Barbie movie, Mean Girls, it's like women are driving this now because they're going, oh no, we're not going to go and watch those movies that you're driving in. Oh, okay, we thought men were the problem, but you feel the same way. Yeah, we like being women. We like being feminine. We like wearing pink. What was wrong with that? And, you know, it's starting to turn the whole media thing, and it's just going to revert to type. It's going to be the big masculine, you know, Hollywood leading man coming back. You watch, everything's going to change. And I think if you're that guy who goes down that masculine route and says, do you know what? Instead of wearing, kind of streetwear and trying to talk a certain way and be a certain way and be a chameleon and fit in, it's like, no, I'm going to be that masculine figure. I'm going to dress in a certain way that was very old school gentleman. I'm going to drive a certain car, like a James Bond Aston Martin or something like that, you know, and I'm not going to take any shit, and I'm going to stand up for myself, and I'm going to be exactly the man that I need to be. I guarantee you're going to get better results than anybody else, and then the world is going to follow suit, and you're going to be perfectly positioned, and you're going to know exactly what you're doing. I know this is a weird video, but it's just a thought in my head that I had to get out, and I think this is how a lot of these thoughts in the masculine kind of community, this is how they begin. You just kind of talk about something that was on your minds that is a little bit waffly. Thought I'd tip that over. Would have had that on camera. It's a little bit waffly and it's all over the place and it's little pieces, and then other people start putting it together and these videos start growing and start generating, and I pass these ideas on to you guys. You message me, we talk about it, you know, and then we go, okay, yeah, this is actually making sense. Really good point. Maybe I do a follow-up video or something like that. But I don't know if you guys have seen the same thing. I think with the Barbie movie, I think with Mean Girls coming out, I think I think the Barbie movie really hit something. I think the world went, oh, women are still women. They still love this. Oh, okay. Like this, oh, we didn't realize. Maybe this is why women aren't watching sports. Maybe this is why they shouldn't get equal pay, because the women aren't watching it. So, but Barbie comes out, yeah, we're on it, we all want to watch it. We're all going to dress up in pink, we're going to have a whole day, and we're going to go and watch that movie. And it was like, yeah, obviously, but it was like the final, it just exposed that. It was like, yeah, men are still men and women are still women. Do you know what I mean? Like, nothing's changed. And I think a lot of guys have kind of lost themselves during this era. And it's like, I've got a statistic here that is going to be quite mind-blowing. It says that 50% of men avoid interactions with women. That's bad, right, guys? Half of men avoid interactions with women. And you've got to think, the other half of those men are probably married, have a girlfriend, whatever. So it's like the majority of single men in the world. And Chris Williamson's done some fantastic statistics on this, where men aren't approaching women anymore. They're petrified of life. Their confidence is lower than ever. Testosterone levels lower than ever. We've done that on our documentary Sim Society, which is on the streaming platform. We exposed all of that. We showed that men are getting weaker than ever. That's pretty much the 50%. That's pretty much like all single men are just afraid to approach women. And it's things like the hashtag Me Too, which, you know, it's a good cause if it's an actual bad guy. But then it just became this whole cultural thing of, don't ever talk to me. And I think guys got that in their head of, oh, I can't do anything. And it's like, I'm telling you, as a guy who never changed, if you just remain as that masculine figure and say, I know how I should be, I'm going to continue being that way. I'm a man, it is my job to dominate, to be the leader, to make decisions. I'm going to continue doing that. During that time frame that's been happening in the last 10 years, I'm telling you, because I've seen it for myself, I've had the best results of my life in all areas of life. I'm talking success. I'm talking, you know, interactions with other men. I'm talking interactions with women. I'm talking just everything. Like, everything has got better. And I've told you guys this before, whatever I choose to do, whatever business I choose to run or whatever, I'm just running clean through people. There's no resistance in this era. I don't want it to go back the other way, and then there's all these strong men and it becomes really difficult for you guys. Like, if you want to capitalize on this, it's now. I think it's a small window of 5 to 10 years where it's all about to go back and revert back to type. And I think if you don't capitalize on it now, you're going to be left behind. Or you're going to be in a situation where you're faced with what my dad's era had, where every guy was in shape, every guy was masculine, everybody was a threat, competition was through the roof, every job you went for, there were hungry guys going for it. Whereas now it's like, you just have to be the best of like 7 and you'll probably figure it out. Like, it's never been easier to succeed as a man in all areas of life. You just have to ignore the garbage. This whole woke thing, it's coming to an end anyway. The world's it's just been exposed with Barbie, and it's going to continue to be exposed because money drives the world. So if you saw the profits that Barbie did, oh, guess what? There's going to be a Barbie 2. Oh, guess what? There's a Mean Girls. Guess what? There's going to be a Sex and the City 3. Guess what? There's going to be a Devil Wears Prada 2 or something. Like, there's going to be remakes of all these classic girl films, and the world's going to realize, oh, this is what women actually want. So in that case, I guess men want masculine action movies. And the world will just go back to normal because media drives culture. It's money, it's the media that drives, you know, they see the money, so then they drive the culture because they keep doing certain things. They keep framing certain things. Bruce Willis is an action hero. Sylvester Stallone, Arnie, like we had all that in like the 80s and 90s. And then it just started fading away. It started getting a little bit different. They went more for these like skinny little pretty guys, but I think the world is going, no, do you know what? Let's revert to type. And I think before the world culture changes and everything goes back to normal and it's celebrated to be like a shark, like a masculine man again, like muscles in the office, handling your shit, getting things done, being assertive, being dominant. I think before that comes back, if you're the guy that goes, I need to do that now. I need to dress in a formal way. I need to have the suit and the nice shoes and the nice car and whatnot. Like, I need to frame myself in a certain way. You're going to get the best results of your life before that competition arrives. Like I said, I know it's a weird video, guys, but it's just my thought. I've been seeing this whole Star Wars, Marvel, Ghostbusters, Oceans, Indiana Jones thing happening for a while. I think last year was the first year where we went, oh, this is a changing of the guard. They're losing money now. They're sick of it. It's going to come back the other way. And I just think be careful because it's never been easier to succeed. It's never been easier to get women, in my opinion. It's never been easier to... It's like, I remember hearing a story before. Some guy was on about 9/11 and he said he booked, on the 12th of September, he booked a flight to New York and it was like £20. He said there was nobody anywhere. They were able to travel around and see, you know, and sightsee and whatnot. Is that a little bit evil? Yeah. Do you know what I mean? It's like somewhat. But is it opportunistic? Yeah. And it's the same thing here. It's like while everybody's sidetracked with this woke agenda, and you've got this TikTok generation of men who are like, I'm going to side with the women. I'm going to be the secret gay best friend and whatnot. If you're just that guy out on a lane on his own, like there isn't many of you. Like I said, rarity is in demand. If you're the shark in the workplace who is dominant, you're probably going to rise to the top. Because the other old school guys who are the decision makers are going to go, him, we need to push him up. Like I know we got to hit our diversity quota. We'll do that with the cleaning staff. We'll do that with, you know, the secretaries and whatever. But the MD needs to be this motherfucker. He needs to be running the show. I just think if you're that guy that shows those traits now, like you're running out of time. Because I've been smashing it for like the last 5-10 years and just battering everybody out the way, and it's been so easy. Life's been great. It's not the competition that my dad used to talk about or whatever. Like it seemed tough back then. It seemed really tough. You had challenges, you had options, and you had other people, that were just as good an option as you. You know, for different things, for the job, for the woman, whatnot. Like they could beat you up. Now it's like the average guy can't even throw a punch. The average guy is out of shape. The average guy looks terrible. Obesity's on the rise and whatnot. If the culture starts to change, that statistic is going to start swinging back the other way. Because the new men that are growing up with videos like mine, videos like Hamza's, videos like Jack's, videos like the Tates that they're putting out. They're growing up with this. They're going to be a different animal. You've got a small window now to make this happen. Don't miss out on it, guys.